Hey everybody, lights red, that means we're on Facebook Live. Doc is in with Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. Hi, Gray Stallman, I'm your host. You may recognize Anita Slaughter. Anita is probably my most repeated guest.
That's right.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you back. I'm looking forward to today because Anita wanted to talk about what really goes into being a trainer, quality trainer, kind of what people should look for as far as if they're trying to find a trainer venue, as far as kind of certifications and kind of qualifications, because there's a lot of numbers, letters out there, and we want to make sure you get the right kind of experience. Anyway, thank you for being here. Friday, it's been a little while, I'm sorry. It's going to be a little bit longer. I'm not going to be here next week. I hope you will indulge me. It's my 26th wedding anniversary next week, and so my wife and I are going to spend some time in South Carolina. We didn't get any opportunity to celebrate our 25th last year because of I was sick with COVID actually. So we'll be back in a few weeks. We're going to try to put a new lineup together. It's going to be a little difficult around the holidays, but we'll try to get some people on. I can give you some wisdom about spine if you'd like. Comment below if you have an idea. Anyway, as always, TOA is Middle Tennessee's biggest, oldest, and most diverse orthopedic musculoskeletal practice. We've been in practice at least in some form or another since 1927. That was before my dad was born. So if you go to TOA.com, you can learn about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, our physicians, our practitioners, our locations, our services. You can even make appointments online. We've been having good success with the online appointment things. It's pretty cool. So go there if you have any musculoskeletal questions or concerns. Click on the Media Center link. It contains all of the past videos that I've done and all the other videos and such that other folks within the practice have done. It's a good resource. As always, however, while I am an orthopedic surgeon, I am not your orthopedic surgeon today. This is for information, education, and a little bit of entertainment purposes only. So please, this is not medical advice. If you have a musculoskeletal problem, come see us. We can help you get back into the swing of things. Okay, so without further ado, Anita Slaughter, A-Train Fitness.
A-Train.
A-Train, I'm sorry, dang it. A-Train Fitness owner, also one of our consultants with the Sports Performance Center with TOA. And you wanted to talk about?
Yes, so I think the last time I was here, you were getting ready to make an announcement on the infamous podcast. And, you know, one of the things we talked about after, I hadn't listened to it, so you've kind of filled me in on the premise of Dr. Death. And so I did listen to it, by the way, but
Yes.
Anyway, so we were discussing, you know, clients doing and patients doing their due diligence with medical professionals. And I think I shared with you at that time that, you know, I've been in business over 20 years and people have never really asked me if I'm certified. And if I told them who I was certified with, I'm not really sure that would mean anything to them or they would understand it. So that's why we decided to do this
Awesome.
episode. So, and I want to approach it from two different angles. The first being what you as a client should look for when you're choosing a trainer. And then the second part, what I as a business owner am looking for before I hire a trainer. And so for a client, the first three things that we're going to talk about, certifications, and we'll delve deeper into that, liability insurance, and cost. So certifications, I think at last check there were, you want to find out that they're certified, but also if it's an accredited certification. I think hundreds of non-accredited personal training certifications. And what that means is I could have you right now search the internet and you could pull up same-day personal training certifications and get on that website, take a test, pay your fee, and there you go, you're ready. Or you can take it a step further and pay $700 and it's a lifetime renewal. With those certifications, there's no continuing education requirements. There's no requirements that you have to follow. So you want to make sure that they're staying up to date on the latest trends and everything with health and fitness. So There are about 15 that are NCCA accredited, and that's the National Commission for Certifying Agencies. And their basic role is to analyze these certifying agencies and make sure that, one, that their exam process and their training programs are fair and unbiased, and that the exam actually will accurately measure whether that potential trainer is competent. And then it protects clients from incompetent trainers. And then lastly, it makes sure those certifying agencies are offering enough support to their professionals. So,
yeah, I mean, the big thing, so as we talked about referencing the Dr. Death thing, that was an interesting story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't hear about it, go back to my last episode. We talked about it. But on the one hand, certification simply be by writing a check, paying your money, and signing a list doesn't really mean anything.
right.
Or at least we don't know that it means anything. Okay? So certifying, what you're talking about is meeting minimum standards of quality, meeting minimum standards of education, of continuing education, and having something to tell the public that this person meets some specific minimum standards.
Right.
Essentially.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's again to help protect people from negligent behavior or aberrant behavior to some degree. Helps to provide people with enough confidence to say, okay, there's some minimum competency.
Right.
Now, with the Dr. Death thing, it can go wrong.
That's
I
correct.
mean, that guy had an MD, and which is kind of one of the ultimate certifications,
Exactly.
and he still was a psychopathic, sociopathic schlock. Okay, and so that it doesn't guarantee things, but
Right.
at least it provides some minimum degree of standards.
And that's like our background checks. We all know people in our industry too that have slipped through the cracks because if they haven't been arrested for something yet, then it doesn't show up. So it is not a guarantee, but at least there are things put in place to, help minimize risk.
So you mentioned about 15 certifying agencies that are recognized. What makes them different from one another? Do they come at training from different viewpoints, or
They're very similar, and I'll talk a little bit more about 5 of them in the next part. But and I can put a list for our viewers to look on my Facebook and Instagram page that lists those 15, so that you can look at those and make sure you're selecting one that's certified in an accredited course. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you have an issue with a trainer, you can report them to that certifying agency. And if it's not an accredited one, there's nowhere to report it to.
no teeth? Yeah.
Right, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. Other certifications that are specialty, like if you have a specific goal, you're going to train for a marathon, so I'm going to hire this trainer for that reason. Those are my goals. So you want to make sure they have a specialty certification to supplement those goals. So she's a certified running coach,
Interesting.
things of that nature. But the second part that you want to ask about and inquire about is if they have liability insurance.
So you picked your trainer.
You picked a trainer.
Yeah, or you're interviewing a trainer.
You're interviewing a trainer.
Okay.
That's another question to ask. Do they have liability insurance?
Why is that important?
That's protecting both of you, but there was a time you couldn't get liability insurance if you weren't certified, but that's no longer the case. And on the flip side of that, even with the ones that are accredited, there's no one monitoring to make sure we're maintaining our professional liability insurance. So that's a question you want to be asking as a consumer.
So that's a personal business decision. You and your contract with your trainer, you're trying to assure yourself that as best as we can, everybody is safe if something happens.
Right, and if you're asking, like, if you want to ask more questions about their liability insurance and they're uncomfortable telling you, that should be a red flag. So I can tell you what, anything in my policy, and I have an umbrella policy because of studio. But yeah, those are things you definitely want to find out about up front.
Okay.
And then the last part that you're inquiring about is obviously cost. Because a trainer is the most expensive doesn't mean they have the most extensive skill set or knowledge base. But you also want to keep in mind that if they're at the bottom half of that price point, where are they cutting corners? Because the certifications are expensive, the continuing education is expensive, the liability insurance, you factor in the maintenance on equipment and making sure you're in a clean, hygienic environment to train. All those things affect the pricing and affect your quality of care also. So
you mentioned kind of at the bottom half or top half or in between. How does somebody find kind of what the averages are? What's the range of pricing you would expect to see in, or for example, Nashville?
I mean, you can do an internet search, but you will also realize if you said Tennessee, there are parts of Tennessee that are going to be, it's supply and demand.
Absolutely.
Basically. So there are going to be places that are lower in price. It doesn't necessarily mean the trainers aren't good there. It's just, it could be the facility they're training in, it could be the area. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And again, we know that everyone doesn't have unlimited income to spend on training. So if cost is an issue, you still want to look for somewhere in the middle of the road at least, and talk to your trainer about that, because there's ways to make it more cost effective, whether it be less frequency and helping you develop programs to do on your own or partnering you with someone. So there are ways to make it affordable.
And I would imagine there's differences in costs if, for example, a trainer, I've worked with a bunch of different trainers. One, for example, was in a facility. He was part of a facility, a gym. There's that. So he's an independent contractor to the gym, so there's a cost involved with him.
Sure.
He didn't own the gym. And then I worked with another trainer, triathlon coach, who was basically out of his car.
Right.
You know, so it was independent mobile, and there was kind of everything in between as far as equipment and stuff. And so some of that will undoubtedly go into the pricing structure as well, right?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. So what are some of the red flags with regard to looking at a trainer, trying to establish, other than just, it seems like a nice person, what are some of the other questions somebody should ask when they're trying to find a trainer that is good fit for them?
Well, I mean, that's an interview process, because there are just simply personality traits that will draw you to one trainer or the other. And because you don't mesh with that trainer doesn't mean they're a bad trainer or you're a bad client. It just means you don't mesh. And so it's a little bit of an advantage I have with having a team of trainers is when I get that initial call, I can pretty much tell who they're going to match with based on their goals, their personality, their whole demeanor, and you can find a good fit.
Well, that's you find, because you
me
know your
personally.
trainers. Yeah.
That's right.
You know the trainers that
So
work
if
with
you
you.
don't, so if you're an independent client just looking, then you want to make sure you're interviewing several. So, or you go and try a session out, and don't be afraid that I've done a session. Don't buy packages. I always say up front. Make sure that it's going to be a good fit. And a lot of us will do like a half price first session, or a discount on a first session, just to make sure, because we don't want you locked into a place you don't want to be.
Yeah, that's been my experience too. When I first started Legree Fitness, the studio that I went to had a first class free kind of concept. And it was really low pressure to see how much I wanted to sweat and how much do I want to pay for that much sweat. And it was a lot of sweat, so I paid good money. It was totally worth it. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I think in my experience, you want to know your own commitment level too, as far as time. Are you truly committed? How committed do you want to be? And what are you trying to get out of it? So I think your due diligence, trying to find a trainer, is to talk to yourself and say, what do you want out of this? What are you trying to gain?
Right.
This is a partnership as far as I'm concerned, right? It's not you make me this way, because trainers can't do that.
Right, and if you're coming off of an injury or you've had surgery, you want to ask your trainer, how much experience do you have with this? And so that's an important question to ask. So there's all kinds of things based on your own personal needs that you need to be aware of. So.
Right. So as a business owner now, what are you looking at as far as how do you pick trainers that you want to affiliate with?
I said there are 15 accredited certifying agencies, and I have a tendency to stick to the top 5. That's because they're the longest standing, and I have I'm familiar with them and have a history of seeing how they are continuously improving their training materials, their methods, their exam process, and so you get quality trainers. And I'm not saying that people, some of the others are not, it's just I'm not as familiar with them.
Right.
So I first look at that to see if they have one of those 5, NASM, ACE, ACSM, NSCA, and ISSA. Those are my top 5, but
look those up.
Look those up. There'll be a list. And then their background, because this is an important thing to note, because I don't think people realize this, but when you get certified, you basically, the training materials are mostly self-study. They may have workshops, but they're to prepare you for the exam. They're not to prepare you to train a client. I mean, they are, but you know what I'm saying. They're not hands-on application. So you have extensive learning materials through that, so you know how all the systems work. You have back part kinesiology, anatomy, all the base for that, as far as that goes. But unless you've worked alongside or mentored with an experienced trainer, your skill set is going to be a little lacking to immediately go in and train. So it's not that I wouldn't hire someone who didn't have a degree or an educational background that supplemented it, like exercise science or PT. It's just that their orientation process with me would look a little different. It'd be a little longer. I like to tell them it's kind of what an intern goes through when they come through. So, and with that orientation process, we do 3 parts of it. And the first part is shadowing hours. So they'll have a minimum number of shadowing hours where they shadow me, training my clients, and not only me, I like them to train with shadow all the A-Train fitness coaches, because we all have different personality training styles or personal training styles, and it's good for them to see that. And then the second part of it is we train them. We're looking at their form. We need to be confident that when they're demonstrating an exercise to a client, that their form is flawless, and they know what to look for if it's not. Does it look flawless to you? If not, how can you cue them to make sure you're correcting any imbalances? And again, I like them to do that with all the A-Train fitness coaches, because we all cue differently as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what cue may work for me may not work for you in this exact same exercise. So there's a minimum number of hours of that. And then the last part of it is they train us. So either we give them what our own personal goals are, or we set up like a hypothetical client scenario, and they'll train us through several sessions, and we have performance evaluations that we fill out, grade them on it, and when we feel like it's acceptable for them to take clients, then they feel confident that they're able to, take our programs and work with them, and then I as an owner feel confident that I can entrust them with the clients I assign.
Wow, that's a huge list of things to do. I mean, I'm impressed. I admire you for that, because I mean, it is your people who train under A-Train
Mm-hmm.
are still representing you.
Correct.
And it's your reputation.
Exactly.
And so you're not trying to train them out of being individuals.
Absolutely.
You're trying to make sure that they're consistent and of the same mindset, if you will,
Right.
As your business. Because there are other businesses out there that have different mindsets, as we well know. And that's a lot of work. And think about it: how much time, effort, and money it takes to make sure that person fits with you and you fit with them.
Correct.
And your visions are kind of aligned in that way. That's tough. I mean that's how we train in medical school,
Right.
residency, whatnot. So a guy has an MD behind their name, they ain't ready to be a doctor. Okay. I went through 5 years of orthopedic surgery training and an additional year of fellowship training in spine surgery, and I still wasn't. I've been in practice 25 years. I still wasn't ready to be completely knowledgeable and confident and competent early on. It takes a lot of time to get to that point. And it's the education, and it's you obviously work with people on learning from you, but then people have to be teachers. Trainers are teachers, and
That's exactly
they have to be able to teach too. So just because he ran an Ironman triathlon and worked with a trainer doesn't mean that he is competent, qualified yet to be the
Right.
coach. There's all potential, but right now you gotta walk before you can run. You gotta be an intern before you can be a partner kind of thing. Yeah.
And I know it's frustrating for someone who's just recently been certified, but if you think about it, if you go back, they'll say to you, I've been lifting for blah, blah, blah years and I'm ready. I know this stuff. But I know that if you go back and ask them in 5 years, do they feel that they were really prepared, they'll tell you that they were not.
Right.
And I'll say that for myself, and I have a degree in occupational therapy, so I will tell you the same thing. Like, just working out and just, going through those processes doesn't
Passion doesn't necessarily mean performance. And, that's taking nothing away from the people who are passionate, because
Absolutely.
we wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have people with passion.
No, and that passion's what will keep them educated.
That's right. Yeah, keep them driven. So, so any other tidbits that you can think of if somebody's trying to find themselves a training environment, whether that's an individual or a group or a company or a group training scenario, for example, a CrossFit gym or something like that. Any other tidbits you can think of?
I mean, I still believe, and this is how the majority of our business comes through, is personal referrals. Don't read reviews necessarily, because they can be paid, as we know, from the podcast. But yeah, I think if I'm seeing a client and I'm getting, or a trainer and I'm getting results, and you ask me who I'm training with, and I tell you, but I'm not going to say, I heard so-and-so over here is good. If I'm going to tell you who I think you should train with, it's because I've actually experienced it, and it's a referral from me personally. So
I think that's really, really important, and asking around is a good thing. You've got a big network of people around you, bigger than you probably think, church, work, school, whatever. And I'm sure people, the community's not that big. You cross paths with people, friends, and whatnot who've experienced others. And personal referral, I think, is extraordinarily important. I'm very skeptical about online review processes. In my experience, while it's an interesting thought that people can go out, and most people who give reviews are negative reviews.
That's true.
Because most people don't, if they had a good experience, they rarely spend the time to put down a good experience. If they had a bad experience, they immediately go to online venues to vent. And then the whole quandary of what's paid, what's not, what's actually a real review makes it very challenging. And so the online world can be an interesting place to start to get some experience, but don't just look at that as the truth, because I don't think that's the case.
No, and even if you get a personal referral from someone, so you said, I went over there and I didn't have a good experience, I would ask a little bit more about the experience and what you didn't like about it, because you may say, well, that trainer, she had a major drill sergeant attitude. I don't like that. Well, that's what I like. So, if you can ask a few more questions to find out, were they negligent and that's why you didn't like them, or you just didn't like their style.
Right.
Didn't click.
Yeah,
so.
and that's a huge one, because every trainer I've experienced has a different style.
Exactly.
And some are super attractive style to one person who may just turn somebody off. Right. And they're great trainers in all rights. So it really is a personal decision. It's an important decision. I mean, it's like dating. You start, it really is, my experience, your trainer ends up being not only, your body trainer, but your mind trainer, your psychologist, your friend, your confidant in many ways, and friend. And so pick and choose. There's lots of choice out there. There's not just one style of training, and experiment. It's just like, training types. Like, some people like boot camp type of workouts. Some people like CrossFit types of workouts. Some people like the Pilates types of workouts. All exercise is good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
It's finding what floats your boat, I think, is really the key thing. And you're spending good money on this. It's very worth it to spend the money, I believe. But it's you got to find the right fit, and then you can really enjoy it and really gain something from it. I'm a big fan of trainers. I really am. The trainers I've had in my life have been extraordinary, and we remain friends with many of them to this day, even though I haven't worked out with them in 20 years. Right. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
and I think we talked about this on a previous episode, that most of the time people aren't not into fitness or not into healthy nutrition because they don't know about it or don't want to. It's just there's so many other factors that are involved. So that's why the personality part of it's so important. If I want to come in and share some stuff with you, I trust that you are going to be able to take that information, not only keep it confidential, but help me develop my program based on that. So if my lifestyle gets crazy and I'm traveling too much, you're going to say, it's not a big deal. You don't have to stop training. Let me give you some programs to do when you're traveling. So, it's important for us to know all the things that are going on and support you in every way.
Awesome. So, Casey, you're going to put in the comments, can you put in the comments Anita's kind of social media contact information that she referenced so that folks can get that? Awesome.
We will, and if you post on your channels, I'll make sure they get shared as well.
Great.
Okay, perfect. I don't know all the lingo, I'm old. But anyway, hey, thanks. This is awesome. It's really helpful, and I hope some people take it to heart and learn. We have a lot of interesting things coming up with the Sports Performance Center in TOA. It's a program that started as an experiment for us, not familiar to TOA, and it's become extraordinarily popular, and it's going to be growing in the next year. It's going to be growing tremendously. I've actually had some conversations with Les and Rob and some others about how we could potentially grow further. So I'm really looking forward to being able to offer services like you have in multiple venues across TOA's footprint to get people in, to get moving, get fit, get healthier, as I put it, age better, or age smarter is probably the way I would look at it, because as you get older, I just turned 60, body parts don't work the way they did when I was 30, and I still want to make them go, but I've got to make some decisions about how to change that, and that's where the training staff can really help you in staying fit, staying active, staying healthy, and feel better. And don't give up, go forward, I think. So thanks. Let's figure out another topic to talk about. Okay?
I'd love it.
With that said, go have a good weekend. It should be pretty nice. Go to TOA.com. That's your resource for everything musculoskeletal in Middle Tennessee. TOA's footprint spreads from Knoxville to Columbia to southern Kentucky to down near close to Spring Hill, down near the border toward Alabama. We service southern Kentucky, northern Alabama. I've seen patients from northern Georgia, Arkansas. So, we service a lot of people. If we can help you with anything, please let us know. We'll get back online soon. I'm not exactly sure we have anybody scheduled as a guest or a topic yet. Like I said, I'm going to be gone next week. I'll be back the following week, and I'm going to figure out some sort of topic to get into place so we can get back into a more regular kind of time frame. It may be every other week. It kind of depends a little bit on the holidays and stuff. But my goal is to get a more regular dose of musculoskeletal information out there for everybody to learn about and have a good time with. Anyway, so thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. Thank you, everybody. Go have a good weekend. Get vaccinated, please. If you haven't done so and you're eligible, get a booster. It's a good thing at this point. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Go out there, have your best life, be happy.